Hello and welcome. Is anybody here? My name is Brendan Cowell. Hello, people in the internet, book-loving people in the internet. Let me know you're here. Cheryl, let me know you're here. Put something in the chat. Say your name. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just talking to myself about books that I've read, and I can't see how that would be a bad thing, just to talk to yourself about books that you're reading. Yeah. Hello. Oh, yes, I'll go to the comments. Oh, wow. Right, there you are. Hi. Thank you. Hi everybody. I can see you all now. Hi, Diane. Hi, everyone. Christine, Cynthia, Yvonne, Lyndall, Sharon, Allison, Naomi, Melvina, Lee, Judy, Wynne, Jane, Sue. Is there any blokes coming in? Where are the blokes? Putting a bet on. Just finished The Truth About Her by Jacqueline Maley. We share a publisher. I thought that was a fantastic book. Malvina, what did you think? Oh, thanks, Alison. Love My Way fan. I was young and handsome. Hi, Lisa. Apples never fall. Yeah, right. I thought that was interesting how Leah Moriarty said she went on holidays to like not write, not work, not talk about writing and work, and she wrote a book. So It's Hard by Rhiannon Wild. I've not read that. Sam Lawless is not a bloke, but is more than welcome. I think we're just readers, aren't we, which goes beyond gender. I'm reading The Unusual Abduction of Avery Conifer by Isla Evans and The Attack by Catherine Jinks. Geez, there's a theme there, Mary. I've almost finished The Good Wife of Bath. Very interesting read, sometimes funny, but often challenging. I'm reading Sandra Scully, not Sandra Sully, is reading Girl in the Walls. Donna Harris. Donna, a clairvoyant, once told me I'd get married to a Donna once. And then I met a Donna in a bar and I said, apparently we're getting married. And she left. I'm reading Nine Perfect Strangers. I haven't read that, but I'm sure it's excellent. My friend Asher is in the telly show. Reading We Were Never Here. Amazing book. I love that book. Holding my breath through the whole book, making me feel so on edge. Unholy Orders. What am I reading? I reckon let's discuss that. Mayflies. How good's Mayflies? I'm reading The Man Who Died Twice. Hilarious. Excellent book. You should read that twice. Nearly finished Cry of the Curlew by Peter Watt. Look at you little readers go. The Wattle Island Book Club by Sandy Docker. What am I reading? Should I say stuff like that? I have started reading this. I Shot the Devil by Ruth McIver, who now follows me on Instagram. I fucking made it. And it's a really interesting setup because it's kind of about crime novels written by a crime writer, but she's going back to her hometown to kind of research a crime, but then it's deeper than that. She's really, really funny. There's all the stuff that I like, addiction stuff, family issues, secrets, and weird sex stuff, all the things that make a great debut novel. I'm only 80-something pages in, but I think I'll probably finish this in a couple of days. So it's one of those incredibly edible books. And Ruth is a voice. She's Irish, and how good are Irish people at writing? They just have that wicked sense of humour, that beautiful sense of observation, lyrical dialogue, and a really beautiful honesty in the prose. And I found, like, in this time of lockdown, it's my second lockdown. I was in lockdown last year in London for 5 months. So I feel like I just chase lockdowns. That's what I do. Like Wim Hof chases winter, I chase lockdowns. I don't want anybody to lie to me when I'm reading. I don't want irony. I don't want whimsy. I want the facts, man, because this is a tough time. Even if it's funny, quirky, whatever, I want somebody to hit me in the jugular, and I want authenticity. I think authenticity is the term I seem to come back to. And with music that I'm listening to, conversations I want to have with people, and with fiction, and I feel there is a real authenticity here. So as I said, I'm only there, and I think it would be interesting, like, to show that to everyone, and everyone would have a different emotional response as to what it means to be that way through a book and what it means to be that far through a book. It's really interesting, though, isn't it? So this is great because you've got heaps of your meal to go. Of course, I just can't wait to read this book. Oh, who wrote it? Another book I'm reading, Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. Try the Family Doctor. Maybe I will. The Riviera House by Natasha Lesser. This is another book I'm reading by Olivia Lang called Crudo that my friend gave me. And I've nearly finished that in 2 days. It's really, really funny, kind of accumulative prose, very poetic, sprawling book, kind of stream of consciousness about 2017 in the Trumpian era, and a woman who's about to get married. And it's kind of just a wild monologue, really, a skidding, wild monologue insight into her brain. It reminds me of Weather by Jenny Offal. Offal. What an awful name, but an excellent writer. I loved Weather, and this reminds me of maybe a slightly poorer version of Weather. But if you haven't read Weather, read Weather. I think she's got a new book coming out that apparently is better than Weather. Everywhere you go, always take Weather with you. My book, Plum, tells the story of a guy called Peter the Plum Lum, Peter Lum, who's a 49-year-old ex-footy player who now works at the airport, dragging the planes out on the tarmac, has an incident, nearly drags a plane into a plane, finds out he's got a brain injury, a degenerative brain injury as the result of all the concussions, and has to go on quite a journey to turn his life around from drinking heavily and going hard at everything to survive. And in doing that, he stumbles upon a poetry night and little by little discovers a passion for poetry. So it's kind of about a thug becoming a poet in order to save his own life, and the two notions of masculinity in Australia. The effeminate poet guy and the Aussie brute beer swilling thug. I make them the one man and suggest that, maybe there should be a moratorium on having two of them and make them the one, that it's okay to be both. So it's a redemptive, funny, wild, loose look at a man giving himself a second chance. And there's some great cameos from some dead poets that you might know. So that's out next Wednesday. I've never read it, but I have written it. Hey, I sound like I had a ghostwriter. I have read it. I also did the audiobook. One Italian Summer. Wouldn't that be nice? I was in Italy last year at this time. It was amazing. I just also read this book called Nothing But My Body by Tilly Lawless, who is a 28-year-old Sydney-based sex worker. I'm writing a TV show where one of the two lead characters is a sex worker, and I'm going to be working with Tilly on that she'll be a consultant. So I'll be getting to know her. She's an amazing human being. And this is, I think it's a second or a third book. It was amazing. It's pretty, it's pretty unbridled. You got to be ready to go, but a wonderful insight into her world and her mind. I read that very quickly. Nothing But My Body, Tilly Lawless. What do I do now? Leonard Cohen, yes, reading The Parisian by Isabella Haddam, beautifully descriptive. Lost Flowers, Holy Ringful Polar book. I got, people are giving me books at the moment, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to read the new Patchett soon. I've only read, I think, Commonwealth and a short stories. I didn't read The Dutch House, but I'm going to give that a go because you can't go wrong with Anne, can you? Natalie read my first book, How It Feels. Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for reading that. Feels like a long time ago. It was 10 or 11 years ago. And it was very much a first novel, it was angry, personal, but I'm really proud of it and equally proud to have. Did I mention there's this book coming out next week, the 29th. And Gladys has been really nice. Gladys is a huge fan of my writing. So she said, I want everyone to be able to buy it at a bookshop. So she's opening Sydney up a week after that. So everyone, what a lady. Did you know that? Isn't that amazing? That's why she stopped the 11 o'clock presses, because she wanted to read my book. And see Dan. Dan Andrews. I don't know. Here it is, Dan. What else is happening with you guys? Anyone making sourdough? Hit me with some more comments and questions, even if they're questions off the topic of what I'm reading. I just read a South African book called The Promise. I reread Swallow the Air by Tara June Winch because she did a quote for my book, and I thought, I haven't read Swallow the Air for ages. God, that's an impressive debut. I read The Promise, a South African book. I just read Animal by Lisa Taddeo, and everyone was talking about how depraved it was. And I don't know what it says about me, but I was like, be more depraved. I thought it was just like a slightly dysfunctional, sexually active, confused person. I didn't find it that offensive. I wanted to up the depravity. Maybe I've been in lockdown too long. I don't know. Have I started writing my next book? Do you know what? I've got the idea, and I'm in talks with a certain publisher about it. I just want this book, Plum. Did I mention Plum? He's out in bookshops next Wednesday. I just want that one to breathe out. It's a book about connection, Plum, and I want it to go out and connect people, because that's the only way you can change. That's the only way you can help yourself, is by reaching out and to making sense of the world, and also how poetry and literature, music, like literature, is the one thing that does make sense of the world for us. Go to a wedding or a funeral or something big's going on, we do reach for it. And so this book is about, I think now, we probably have to connect 10 times more than we usually do. And I think Plum is about that, so I think it's a book for the times, funnily enough. And clearly Gladys thinks so too, because she's opening up New South Wales in time. My new book is Plum, Sandra Sully. I loved Three Women. My God, that was incredible. I love that the theatre couple that just took me back to university. And it was painful and beautiful. And geez, she can write. She can really write, Lisa Taddeo. Wow. What would be my top read for during lockdown? Something escapist. I don't really read any kind of sci-fi, fantasy, action, adventure to escape. I believe, when I'm anxious, I'll put on Tupac or Pearl Jam instead of Chopin. Like, I tend to meet anxiety and panic with itself. So I find authentic, truthful books about what's going on help me through difficult times. Difficult books help me through difficult times. But human beings thrive on inertia. We like to move against a force. Like, people like to find time to read. And what's hard now is you have all this time to read, and some people aren't connecting with reading as much because you have all this time to read. But I've found I don't want any podcasts. I've gotten past the Netflix thing, and I find myself reading a lot more. I also had to finish my book to be able to read again, because I get muddled very easily, and so I wanted Plum to be really pure, so I didn't read a lot of books while I was writing Plum. I also, when I wrote my first book, I read Nabokov's Lolita, and then I read this thing saying one thing to do when you write your first book is don't read Nabokov, because it'll put you off writing, because no one will ever be as good as him, and that was pretty true. Hello, Emma. Any other questions? Where did I get my inspiration for my new book? It was actually the conversation. I had a conversation with a friend of mine in Newtown out the front of a cafe, and he runs a vintage old wares shop. And we kind of, I think we're both a little bit hungover, and we just kind of went on one of those lovely riffs that two blokes can go on, where you just follow the stream. And then by the end, I was like, I think that's a beautiful book. And then I went away and blew it up, and I haven't been able to forget about it. And I have lots of ideas. I have ideas every day. And sometimes I'll try to write some, but they don't stick. But some of them just bug you and bug you and bug you, which was definitely the case with Peter Lum. Peter Lum was like, come on, mate, let's go. And he kind of saved me from a really difficult time, heartbroken. I got sick. I got the virus in London. I was indoors for 5 months. I thought I was going to die. It was fucking awful. And Peter Lum kind of went, come on, mate, I'll take you with me. And I taught Peter things. Peter taught me things. And so we kind of formed a very nutritious bromance, which may have rescued each other last year. And this book shifts the attention a little younger, and I'm really excited to write about a teenager. How did I come up with the title? Catherine Milne, the master craftswoman. It had a different title, which I now think is not very good. And his name was Peter Lum. I was just thinking of footy names, and they all have nicknames, because his best mates at the pub is Magic Hat and Squeaky and Brick Wall. And I thought of Peter Lum, and then I thought the plum, and then I thought it works really well because the plum is soft like the brain, and there's these nutrients and fruits within it, but there's a hard rock in there as well. And the metaphor all seemed to really work for the book without hitting it too hard. And I don't hit it too hard in the book, but I think the metaphor of the plum and the brain really works in the book, or it just lives. It just is a thing in the book, because the book is quite direct, really. It's not, and I wanted to keep it like that. Like, even when it gets incredibly poetic, it's poetic in Peter Lum's world. It's not impressively poetic. It's honest, brutal, rugged poetry. Because I think everybody's a poet, if they mean what they're saying. Like, I love hearing people write poems. Everyone's brilliant. Everyone's a brilliant poet. I hate hearing people read other people's poems. I don't know why people just don't write a poem themselves. Like, just make it rhyme, whatever. It's beautiful hearing people read out poems. So that's kind of what it's about, like speaking your words the way, because if you listen to the way people speak on buses, in pubs, and it's just gorgeous, the different rhythms people have and the different words people choose and to try to express or hide what they're thinking, you know. So Plum, did I mention, is out next Wednesday. It's very much about that Australian language and a real kind of celebration of the robust directness of the Australian vernacular. Listen to me go. I should be a publicist. Any other questions from Facebook? Is Mark Zuckerberg here? Mark? Plum is out, Mark, next Wednesday. Everybody stop talking. I've deemed everybody speechless. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Lee. Has it ended? I don't know. Has it ended? What's happening? What am I reading next? Yeah, as I said, I'm probably going to have a crack at Anne Patchett. I've been given all these books. You get gifted books when you got a book coming out. These ones. Which of these should I read? I once stayed at Miriam Margolyes's house in London. It's massive. She's really nice. My mum and I stayed there in Clapham Common. My favourite book, I really love the corrections. That kind of scintillated me. I read Hanif Kureshi's Buddha of Suburbia. That got me writing when I was young. Yeah. Lee wants to read Miriam Margolyes's book. Oh, yes. I'll read them out. Leave the World Behind, Rumaan Alam. Monogamy, Sue Miller. I assume that's a comedy. Imagine. The Nazis Knew My Name. Oof. I think there's some press about this one at the moment. Cutter's End, Margaret Hickey. I don't know anything about this one yet. Crime fiction. The Man Who Died Twice. Could have been another title for Plum. And Miriam. So that's it. Any other questions before I wrap things up? I've really enjoyed this. Thanks for. It's felt very one way. It's felt very much like, but I think that's the idea of it. So thank you for listening and thanks for your support and everything. Read Monogamy by Sue Miller. Okay, I will do. That's a good one, is it? I love the cover. Plum could learn from this. Oh, Michelle, you're enthralled. Oh, thank you. This is really cool. If you haven't read this, really funny. really observant, and I can't wait to finish this. This has been a real winner. Good on you, Ruth. Footy grand final. Wayne, there's a bloke in the house. Wayne. Look, I reckon it'd be great if it was Souths versus Panthers, but I think it'll be Manly versus Storm. Yeah, and I think Storm will win. They'll cheat. They'll lie in the tackle. They'll manipulate the rules. But I would love Panthers and Souths to play and Souths to win. And next year, the mighty Cronulla Sharks. Thank you all, readers. Keep reading books. Reading is sexy. It's been wonderful being here with you all today, and I hope to meet you all on the journey. Dex is going to end it for us now.